everyone, welcome back to this channel. I want to welcome you to this very special episode of the Olfactory Library, my video series here on YouTube where I share my love for fragrances. If you're new to this channel, I want to thank you for spending time with me today. But if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for tuning back in. Before anything else, please don't forget to leave a like to this video. It would definitely help me with YouTube's algorithm. But also consider subscribing to this channel if you want to see more contents like this in the future, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified if I do upload more videos in the future. Now, I am so excited to do this video because as of recording, I have finally reached my first year doing contents here in YouTube. And it was also very recently that I surpassed the 500 subscribers. Now, that may not sound a lot, but it's really more than what I have ever hoped for, or more than anything that I have ever thought that I would get. And also, 1 year is a lot, and I honestly didn't think that I would go and reach this far in making contents here in YouTube, considering how busy I am. Because my day job, I am a doctor by profession and I'm quite busy at work, and hence the inconsistent uploading of videos. And yeah, 1 year later we are here. I guess it just goes to show that if you are doing something that you love, that you're passionate about, time do fly fast and you won't even notice it. Now, for today's video, I think this is such a very fitting topic to talk about. 1 year into creating contents here in YouTube and 1 year into sharing my love for fragrances here in YouTube, I'm going to share to you 10 of my most complimented perfumes by far. But I have arranged them in order of how much I like each one of them. Meaning I did not arrange this based on which one of them has garnered me the highest number of compliments. So I'm going to run through this list quickly. I'm going to start with number 10. We're going to the house of Tom Ford, and this is Neroli Portofino. This perfume has keynotes of citruses, neroli, rosemary, lavender, and amber. Not a surprise right here, because out of all the blue perfumes from Tom Ford, this is the one that is most famous and a lot of people are so hyped about. It smells very clean, it smells very fresh, it smells very vibrant. It's loaded with fresh white florals, but contrasted with all the greenness coming from all the aromatics that are in here. This is a really good summer perfume and a very good everyday perfume. This probably would have been a lot higher in the list if it lasted longer on my skin. But as far as compliments go, especially if you're like me who lives in a tropical country, this will definitely not fail you. Next up, we're going to the house of YSL, and this is Grande Poudre. This perfume has keynotes of black pepper, violet, suede, and musk. Now, this perfume is a very underrated perfume from YSL, but I get why people love this one. It has that perfect contrast of freshness and depth in the background. It opens with this ozonic, airy, almost like crystal clear violets with a dash of spiciness at the top, but this is contrasted by this soft, dry, sort of fluffy suede and musk in the background. Very inoffensive, but definitely very likable. This would be something that I would recommend if you want to stand out, if you want something that's very unique and something that's not a lot of people talk about. This definitely is a very underrated perfume from YSL. Next up, we're going to the house of Paco Rabanne, and this is 1 Million Parfums. This perfume contains keynotes of tuberose, salt, ambroxan, leather, and cashmere. Now, this perfume is by far my favorite out of all the 1 million line. A lot of people would gravitate towards the 1 million Lucky, some would go for the Privé, but this one personally is my favorite because I personally hate the 1 million DNA. I think it's very screechy, very synthetic, and very headache-inducing, to be honest. But this flanker gave the 1 million DNA that freshness, that solarity, that luminosity, and the creaminess that softens the sharp edges of the original DNA. The combination of the tuberose, the salt, and the ambroxan really gave this perfume that summer appeal and summer feel. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Privé flanker. I also have that in my collection, the beautiful, sexy, spicy, warm apple pie feel. But this one, not a surprise, garnered me a lot of compliments. At number 7, we're going to the house of Serge Lutens, and this is Santal Majuscule. This perfume has very simplistic notes breakdown. It only contains sandalwood, cacao, and rose. Now, this perfume is a monster, and by monster I mean it really fills up the room. You would only need 1 or 2 sprays of this one and you would be definitely noticeable to everybody. Now, I am a heavy sprayer, and I don't apologize for that. But this one, I am very much contented with just having one or two sprays on me because this is very loud. This one has a very creamy sandalwood that's made a lot richer with the chocolatey cacao. That sort of brings this perfume a little bit towards the gourmand territory, but it has a beautiful rose in the background that's very faint. It's very airy, it's very thin. If you don't like roses in perfumes, don't be afraid about the rose that's in here. It's very, like I said, it's very thin, it's very much in the background. It just gives this perfume that roundness, that sort of necessary flair to it to keep it, you know, like very palatable and not just, you know, all about the chocolates and the woods. But this perfume is just really, I think, one of the most underrated perfume there is in the market today. It's very indulgent, it's very sexy, and it's very, very addictive. So it's not a surprise that this one also got me a lot of compliments. At number 6, we're going to the house of Celine, and this is Eau de Californie. Now, this perfume contains key notes of Palo Santo, bergamot, orris, and oak moss. Now, this one was a surprise to me because personally I love the touch of classic gentleman's cologne DNA that's used as a backbone in modern perfumes these days, especially with the use of oak moss. And I thought, you know, it might be palatable for a lot of people, but surprisingly this perfume got me a lot of compliments. When I wore this perfume, I wasn't expecting for people to notice me, but surprisingly it did. It has that familiarity to it with the use of oak moss, a very prominent note that is used in a lot of classic gentleman's cologne, but this is surrounded with a lot of beautiful fresh notes that is used in a lot of modern perfumes these days, particularly bergamot and Palo Santo. Palo Santo is something that you don't get in a lot of perfumes these days. This perfume is such a hidden gem. And in all of the perfumes from Celine, this one too is very much underrated and very least talked about. And if you're like me, who loves those touch of classic gentleman's cologne in perfumes, you would definitely love this one. And at number 5, we're going to the house of Tom Ford, and this is Beau De Jour. This perfume contains key notes of lavender, rosemary, oak moss, basil, and amber. Just like Eau de Californie by Celine, this one too surprised me a lot. People gravitate towards what they already know. And this one took a classic fougere DNA and made it very modern and made very palatable to today's market. This, I think, is such a masterpiece and a really good perfume study if you want to look at perfumes that really took a good amount of inspiration from classic perfumery and turn it into something really modern. This would be the perfect candidate. And if I heard it right, Tom Ford actually loves this, and this is his favorite in all of his perfumes. So if it's good enough for Tom Ford, perhaps this would be good enough for you and the people around you too. At number 4, we're going to my all-time favorite from Frederic Malle, and this is LuDivia. This perfume contains key notes of iris, musk, heliotrope, and honey. Now this perfume smells straight up like baby powder minus the powdery touch. It smells very sparkly and very crystal clear with just the right amount of sweetness and depth coming from the honey. This perfume smells very delicate, very fresh, but definitely very cozy. So I get why a lot of people love this one. And honestly, I don't know what else to say about this perfume because I always talk about this perfume. This is my most favorite iris perfumes, and right now this is my most favorite perfume in my collection. In the 3rd spot, we're going back to the house of Celine, and this is Black Tie. This perfume contains key notes of vanilla, orris, musk, oak moss, and cedarwood. It's got loads of notes in the background, but for an untrained nose, this is what I always say. This smells like a warm vanilla ice cream. It's very decadent, it's very indulgent, but at the same time, it doesn't smell juvenile at all. This is something that you could wear casually, but also formally, on dates, on black tie events, and exactly the name itself, black tie. It's very fitting for the brand of Celine, but at the same time, it's very fitting for a modern gentleman. It has its seriousness to it, but the decadent, warm vanilla in the background just gives this perfume that youthful appeal to it. Coming at number 2, we have a perfume from Jo Malone, and this is Miran Tonka Cologne Intense. This perfume contains key notes of myrrh, tonka bean, almond, vanilla, and lavender. Now this one comes to no surprise because out of all the Cologne Intense perfumes from Jo Malone, this one is the one that is most hyped and well loved in the community. And I think over the years, this perfume I think deserves to have that legendary status already. It smells very appropriate, it smells very well put together, and even though this comes in a cologne concentration, this perfume is very long lasting. It's got a beautiful warm resinous myrrh in the background that's complemented by this creamy tonka bean. This perfume is just very decadent and sexy. This is a perfume that deserves to be called a legend in perfume history, and there's no better way to describe this perfume other than that. And sitting high at number 1, we have a perfume from Parfums de Marly. This is Habdan. Now this perfume contains keynotes of green apple, saffron, woods, caramel, and myrrh. Now the first time that I have ever smelled this perfume, immediately what came to my mind is this is exactly how I imagine everyone from Dubai would smell like. This is how I imagine those guys who buys luxury cars when they're bored would smell like. This is how I imagine those guys who has too many luxury cars in their garage that they would never even drive on a daily basis would smell like. This perfume smells very rich, not only with the notes and the composition of this perfume, but definitely this perfume smells very expensive, smells very opulent. This perfume has one of the best green apple notes that I have ever smelled my entire life, and that juicy photorealistic apple just gives this enough mass appeal to it, that complement factor, but the richness of the notes in the background, the spices and the myrrh just gives this perfume that mystery, that boldness, that depth, and just the right amount of sexiness. Now this perfume is one of the most masculine perfumes that I have ever put my nose on. Now generally in this channel I would say wear whatever you want to feel like wearing, because at the end of the day these perfumes are just liquid in a bottle, but this one I think is very masculine. Although I think this still leans close to the unisex category, but the composition and the DNA of this perfume just smells very much like a modern, wealthy gentleman. This I think how I imagine those rich, cool kids in the university would smell like when they assume and inherit the company from their dads. I just really love this perfume so much. This perfume may not be cheap, but this definitely is very much worth every penny. And that completes today's list. Thank you so much for watching this video. And also, I want to thank you for staying with me for the last 12 months of being here on YouTube. I want to thank everyone who subscribed to this channel. Thank you for being with me and making me reach this milestone, and I am really grateful for that, and I hope you continue to support me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, but as always, wherever you are, I hope you're staying safe, stay curious, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!